Greetings. My name is Chris Adkins. I'm a naturalist with Dallas County Conservation. And what we're doing today with you is inviting you to one of my favorite things, stories written in the night sky by the stars. What's very interesting is some of those stories transcend the sky and are written here on the landscape in the wilds of Iowa. One of these stories involves the blood of the bear. Have you ever seen the blood of the bear as you rambled through the wilds of Iowa? The story of the blood of the bear is one written in the sky, as we said. We would like to invite you to come stand inside this story with us and experience the memory of the land. Realize this land is the land of the Iowa, the Meskwaki, Sauk and Fox, the Lakota. I am but an interpreter who is humbly sharing this story with you, and I mean to do it respectfully. So for you to understand the astronomy, the science of this story, we need you to think about a constellation, probably the first one you learn. It's called the Big Dipper. Have you seen in the sky 7 stars that appear to be a pot with a long handle that you could dip up water? Greeks and Romans didn't call it the Big Dipper. They called it Ursa Major. Ursa meaning bear, major meaning big. But this is an odd bear. 4 stars that make up his body and 3 that make up a long tail. You'll see in our story, there is no long tail. There is a bear and 3 hunters. To completely understand the story that we'll share with you tonight, you also need to be aware of the North Star, called Polaris by astronomers. If you're going to find the bear, you will need to follow its lead and look to the northern sky. You'll also come to know that the native people, and in this story, it was not referred to as Polaris. Instead, it was called the star that does not walk around. Surprisingly, the 7 stars of the bear and all the other stars that are visible to you move in the night sky, and they change positions with the seasons. In this image, you can see where we will start. The bear is here near the horizon in the fall, 6 o'clock on a clock. By winter, it has moved here, and the bear is here. You can see this continues. 12 o'clock on a clock is where you'd find the Big Dipper, the great bear, and the hunters in the springtime. By summer, it has moved over here, and again, fall, the cycle is completed. This is not a linear story. It is a story of a rhythm, a pattern, a circle, which is common in indigenous ways of knowing. There, the stage is set. You are now ready to accept our invitation to join us tonight in the lodge around a fire with an elder as we share this story with you. Welcome to our lodge. Tonight we'd like to invite you to share with you the story of the Great Bear Hunt, an explanation of the blood of the bear. It would be at this time long ago when the natives, the indigenous people of Turtle Island, would have gathered in the lodge and told stories. Elders would sit with children here at night with winter's beginning, and they would share these stories. Realize there was no written language. Everything was oral history. The libraries of your peoples were in the stories and the minds of your elders. So the story we're going to share with you tonight had 4 purposes. One was to ensure you were never lost. You could always find your way home. 2 was to ensure that you could understand the circle that you live within, the cycles, the rhythms of the season. You'd have a calendar, a clock in the sky. 3, so you would be aware of and be able to explain the natural phenomena, the magic around you. And 4 was a cultural and ethical reason. It was to encourage you to be a better member of the community. So, I hope you enjoy this story. We will share with you tonight the story of the blood of the bear. Earlier, we introduced you to the constellation Ursa Major, the big bear. In Greek and Roman stories, these 7 stars make up a bear with an unusually long tail. Most people just recognize it as the Big Dipper. In native people stories, the stories of the people of our place, this was not a bear with a long tail or a kitchen utensil, a dipper. The 4 stars of the pot of the dipper were a large bear. The 3 stars of the tail of the bear, the handle of the dipper, were 3 individuals selected from the tribe to go into the sky and hunt this bear. The star closest is the archer, selected both for his speed and for his accuracy with the bow. The next star is the cook, selected for their culinary skills. And the third star at the end of the tail here was Makagowe. Stay with us in the story and you'll learn of his role in the story and also what his name means. These three hunters, having been taught by their elders well, knew they could never approach the bear. He would see them coming. So they disguised themselves, not with a mossy oak that you might buy at a sporting goods store, but using the disguises of common birds in their world. The archer, he disguised himself as a robin. The cook, the chickadee. And Makagowe, the old camp robber, the gray jay. With the coming of the spring, the bear awakes and emerges from his den. In the spring, the bear is fresh and fleet of foot. The hunters cannot catch up with him in their chase through the sky each night. The summer brings more pursuit. The bear is still strong and fast, and the hunters continue their chase through the sky. With the coming of the fall, the bear is tired. It's been a long chase. He is slowed. The fleet robin is still in hot pursuit. He draws close enough to the bear to get a shot. He pulls an arrow from his quiver, knocks it, draws it out, and lets it fly. True to his aim, his arrow strikes the bear in the heart, and blood begins to pour from the bear, blanketing the forest below. The robin, the archer, has done his job. The bear has been slain. In his enthusiasm, he flew and slammed into the bear. He became covered with the bear's blood. He flew to the nearest tree, a maple tree, and shook himself vigorously. Most of the blood came off. He used his beak to clean himself. But to this day, there is one blood stain, an indelible red mark on the robin's chest that he could not get off. Now we turn the story to the chickadee. The chickadee has been carrying the pot on her back the entire hunt. She sets that pot off and begins to prepare the meal. You may think that this is where the story ends. The bear has been killed and cooked. But remember, there were three hunters in the story. And so now we turn to the third hunter, the gray jay, Makagowe. Ah, Makagowe. What has he done in this story? He was not there as the hunter. The robin ran the bear down and shot it. Not there to help the cook at all with the preparing of the stew. But in the story, Makagowe now comes into camp. He congratulates the robin for his great hunting. He congratulates the cook for the wonderful stew she has made and tells how he could smell it long down the trail as he was lying in the shade and resting. He now wanders into camp and says, "By chance might you have a spare bowl and spoon that I might have some of that stew?" What would your answer be? Would you share this stew with this Makagowe? In the Ojibwe language, the name Makagowe means he who shows up late and does not help. So you can see where that name is derogatory. And it forces you to think about the cultural, the ethical, the community story wrapped up in this bear, blood of the bear story. In your own clan, are you the Makagowe? Do you help? At supper time, where are you? Do you assist your elders in the preparation of the meal? Or you do show up late and earn your name, Makagowe? Thank you for joining us in the lodge and listening to this story. If you recall, we told you the story had 4 lessons embedded in it. The first one, remember Polaris, the North Star, the star that does not walk around. The bear points to it as you have learned, and you will now know you can never be lost. It will always lead you home. Secondly, the position of the bear starting in the fall, or starting in the winter, moving up to the spring, to the summer, and then back to the fall, creates this calendar for you in the sky and reminds you of the circle that you live within. The phenomena. Will you now recognize when the trees turn red again next fall? You are seeing the blood of the bear. And as a robin lands in your yard and you see that spot, the blood stain on his chest, you'll recall how that happened and why the maple is the reddest tree of all. And finally, that cultural story, ethical. You as a community member, we do not need more Makagowes in our lives. We need you to become a good member of your community. So take these stories to heart. Go out into the sky, observe them, be part of the story. And there you have it, the blood of the bear, a story of your place. We've invited you to come stand inside this story and experience the memory of the land. That story and its 4 lessons are waiting for you each evening in the stars of the sky above you. We hope you get out and enjoy it. In closing, we have one last lesson we'd like to share with you. This comes from the Paiute people. They would go out each night, and as the stars began to appear in the sky, they would say, "Tuampi Eve, to weep." But as they said it, they would gesture, "Tuampi Eve." That means the sky is beautiful. To weep, meaning just as the earth. You can see here in the architecture of their lodge the same symbology. It reminds you that the beauty we see above, we find here on this land that we live upon. So the last lesson that we'd like to challenge you to do is start to weeping. Find a way to find the beauty of this earth and take good care of it. Thank you. Hey, something fun to close with. Here's a challenge to you. How's your eyesight? Remember the bear? My finger's there by the chickadee, the middle star and the tail. Remember in the story, chickadee was carrying something on its back. Go out tonight. Take a look at those stars. Will you see what she was carrying on her back? If you do, we'll take you on the hunt. If you don't, your eyesight's terrible. You need to go see the eye doctor.